So, Donna, I gotta say, you really exceeded our expectations with this knee pain program. I mean, I originally thought you would need 8 visits, equipment, all kinds of stuff. And tell me, I'm just amazed. You're doing great.
Honey, let me tell you, I have had the best results from this program. So, when I came in here the first time, I was a little bit pessimistic, about the course of what y'all were going to do.
Yep.
However, when I started therapy with Josh, I knew when I walked out of here there was no pain whatsoever. So, I have not been in pain since the first therapy session with him.
That's amazing, and I will just like to point out to the camera that I did recommend equipment to go along with it, and
Yes.
together we formed an alliance, and we said, you know what? Why don't we just start out with therapies only? So I think all you did was therapies with Joshua, the laser,
Right.
and the decompression. I said you're going to need at least 8, and you're like, okay. Why don't we start out with 4? And this is what I think it is really a relationship that we build. And I said, okay,
Yes.
let's start out with 4 and let's reevaluate and see where we are. And here we are, 4 visits a month later, and you're feeling, and you told us like near 100%, 95% better on
Yes,
the right knee.
I have no pain whatsoever. I
Wow.
think the biggest thing is consistency as well.
Yeah,
So
true.
when I came into this program, you told me once a week,
Yeah.
and I kept up with that
Yeah.
because I knew that I needed that once a week to be able to maintain my just the regrowth or the renourishment of whatever was going on in
Good.
my knee.
Or even what I like to teach in this case is retraining
Yes.
of the nerves that are controlling the
Yes.
muscles, where you were actually feeling the majority of your pain, as we went over your case, wasn't arthritis like we originally thought. It was actually the muscles that were just so tight and firing so many pain signals. So the trigenics is really a neuromuscular re-education process. So we were like rewiring the nerves. That's what we did. And the typical recommendation is 8 to 15, 16, sometimes 20. But you just blew it out of the water. Your body's like, this is all I need, I'm done. And I think you're done as well. Well, we asked you last time, were there any other things that you had noticed? And I'll read them, you may or may not remember. You can just nod your head or whatever. But walking is easier. You said balance seems better.
Balance is a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel like I am not sometimes I was it was just confusing. Was it vertigo or was it my just something out of line? And I have none of that anymore. I am very, very balanced. I'm not just like mushy up here. So yes.
That's really good feedback, because sometimes we think we know what the diagnosis is. I got vertigo because my balance is off, but maybe it's instability, maybe it's things are wonky. But just going at it neurologically, since I'm always trying to teach, but the nerves in the joints, and even muscles and tendons for that matter, and it's in this joint and that joint and ankles and toes and all the way up, there are nerves in there called proprioceptors. And the proprioceptors feed information to the balance center up in the brain. It's the brain stem and the cerebellum, which is taking that data and figuring out where you are in space. So if the right knee is firing up good information, but the left knee in this example is not, then the cerebellum is confused.
Wow.
So resetting those proprioceptors is kind of like what they actually have that on robots. Robots are just copying off of human neurology. But resetting those proprioceptors, those nerves that figure out where a joint is in space, will have an effect all the way up to the cerebellum, the balance center. So feeling wonky or mushy or whatever is your way of kind of trying to put a word on something, but it evidently came from your lower extremities misfiring.
Right. Because I'm very, very clear on my walking. I'm just not kind of swaying, it's definitely.
Good. So for the camera, we'll leave it up for the camera as well, but a couple things that I would recommend is the exact same things I recommend for all humans. Exercise. So now that your knees are back under you and doing well, I would up the exercise, slowly titrate it up, because you're, kind of came in a bit deconditioned because of the knee. So increase that. I'm always talking about diet. You always want to look for a diet. We're constantly teaching and preaching about inflammatory foods, mostly carbs and sugars, things like that. So watching out for that. And in your case, and we can talk more off the record and you can decide what to do, but I would recommend a follow-up in a month, and then I'm actually thinking about just titrating you back down to maybe every 6 months if you're doing good, and then, kind of like a dentist.
Right.
Things like, the proprioceptors and the nerves in there and the muscles misbehaving. It's a weakened area. It's like a weak link in a chain, and just like areas in our teeth, just stuff happens and we tend to break down.
Right.
So if that makes sense, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't just check in a month. God forbid if something happens, just call us, right? But we'll check in a month and then maybe just spread them on out.
That's great.
How does that sound?
That's perfect.
Awesome. So, and it was perfect the way you started as well. And I said off camera, you said, I was a bit skeptical when I started that anything like this would actually help. And I said, I would be skeptical too, because until I discovered this Trigenics thing, I didn't really have a really solid treatment for knees. I could do adjustments and we get a little bit of help here or there, but Trigenics has blown my mind, and Joshua's as well. We got certified together. But it's just been like mind-blowing what it can do.
Right.
What would you say here to a skeptic who might be in the same place you were a month ago, like, really, you think you can do that? What would you say to a skeptic considering the knee pain program?
I would definitely say give it a try. You're never too old to do this kind of program. It's very simple. It is painful at times, but however, there's no gain without pain. So give it a shout. Be optimistic of the difference it's going to make you feel. And I enjoy Dr. Prax's team.
That's so perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you.